So, good afternoon to each and everyone. This is ANGIE CARL Mendoza, and I will be delivering you the information regarding the continuation of Chapter 12 about the Military Bases Agreement Act and also the Proclamation number 51 issued by our former President Manuel Rojas. So, stay tuned and tune in for more details and updates. So, good afternoon to each and everyone once again. So, this is Angelica Mendoza, and I will be giving you some of the deepest secrets, the deepest information na under sa 1947 Military Bases Agreement and also the Proclamation number 51 issued by our former President Manuel Rojas. So, as you can see, way back on March 14, 1947, a treaty between the United States of America and the Philippines allowed the USA to establish military bases in the Philippines. So we will uncover, we will discover, and we will scrutinize those details here in this chapter. No, so this is an original excerpt from the Military Bases Agreement Act, which states that, as explicitly stated in the Treaty of Manila of 1946, the U.S. intended to continue to use the Philippines for its military operations in the Pacific. So this way, openly expressed by the U.S. government despite granting independence to the Filipinos in the previous year. So despite granting us the freedom, no, the independence, they did not fully let us go because of this act. These were one of the acts na nagtay sa ato as a United States, no, because they were aiming for something else. Even though they introduced us or they uplifted us, our economy, our literally our country, they lifted up our country from scraps, no, pero na ay hidden intention ana ilahang ipang buhat. So the contents, so on 1947, as we all know, the public disclosure of the agreement, which is the 1947 Military Bases Agreement Act. So during 1943, nag-start na ang negotiation. And then, pag-abot of June 29, 1945, so there was a joint Congress of the United States. And, of course, there was this negotiation na din nagsabot-sabot na ang duha countries, ang duha ka leaders sa countries. And then so on July 28, 1945, the President of the United States of America negotiated with the President of the Philippines for the establishment of the bases. And of course, the terms of agreement, no, it states that the government shall remain in force. So, in force, hand in hand in force for a period of 99 years. So, kumbaga, nakatali ta sa ilaha for 99 years. So, the agreement was signed by Paul V. McNutt, a U.S. representative, and of course, our very own former president, Manuel Rojas. So no, these are the articles that belong to the agreement, which constitutes of course, article number 1 is the grant bases, no, the right to retain the use of the bases in the Philippines. So, of course, sa pinaka first part sa article is they establish the rights of their plan on how they will establish the bases and where they will establish these bases. And then article number 3 is the description of rights. So the U.S. shall have rights, power, and authority within the bases which are necessary for the establishment. So, kumbaga, even though we're free from them, there were still these constituents, there were still these strings that ties the U.S. in the Philippines and giving them the authority, giving them rather. And then, under Article 8 is the jurisdiction. So, the Philippines shall have rights to exercise over all other offenses committed outside the bases by any member of the armed forces of the United States. Well, of course, if there are any misdeeds or misleading commands by the United States soldiers or anyone outside the bases, so the Philippines is tasked to reinforce or to exercise or to execute or to take action, no? And then, on Article 14 is the arrest and service of the process. So, no arrest shall be made and no process, civil or criminal, shall be served within any base except with the permission of the commanding officer of such base. But should commanding officer refuse to grant such permission, he shall forthwith take the necessary steps to arrest the person charged. So, this these terms are concerned with crimes and other unlawful deeds that may be committed in and outside the bases itself. No, so and then in Article 19, no, the commercial concern. So, the U.S. shall have the right to grant commercially concerned owners or controlled by the citizens of the U.S. or the Philippines. So, in terms of commercial establishments within the base, so the U.S. must first scrutinate and, of course, take into action they will which material or commercial establishments they will allow to operate near or on or in such bases. No, and then the Article 27 is the voluntary enlistment of the Philippine citizens. So this is maybe one of the heaviest parts of the whole agreement, no, because the US shall have the rights to recruit citizens of the Philippines for voluntary enlistment into the US Armed Forces. Because even though we say it's just voluntary, no, because in terms of war, if war breaks out during these 99 years of their effectivity of the military agreement, dili ta kaingon na makabalibad ta, especially if mangayo na sila og tauhan, if they demand such things na kinahanglan na nila og mag-recruit og soldiers, especially Filipino soldiers, they have to sacrifice those lives. And then under Article 29 is the term of agreement, no. So this is a period of 99 years na ang duration. So, and of course, it is also subject to extension. So, napay tendency nga madugay pa siya more on like hundreds of years. Especially if mag-agree furthermore nga dugangan nila ang ilahang duration o ang effectivity sa contract or sa act. And then these are some of the bases na gi-establish nila all the way from Luzon to Mindanao. So starting with the Clark Field Air Base Pampanga, the Fort Stotzenberg Pampanga, Mariveles Military Reservation, and so on and so forth. So from Pampanga, they also have their other bases, in Subic, in Zambales, in the Manila area, Cavite Province, of course in Palawan. So they really took it from top to bottom, no? And then, abot sila Mactan, Pampanga again, La Union, Palawan, and of course, the Apari. Nabot gani sila og Tawi-Tawi. So, this proves that even though we were physically free, no, we're not physically free. We're just free by the law. We're just freed by the law because there were still things that ties us. There were still strings that connects us to the United States of America, no? So, at this moment, let's move on through the proclamation number 51 by President Manuel Rojas. So, this is a proclamation granting amnesty to the people accused of collaborating with the Japanese during the World War II. Of course, no, when the US found us, or when we were granted by our freedom from the Japanese, there were these issues na naapay gihapon nakipag-collaborate sa Japanese during the World War II. So, what is this term amnesty? So, amnesty is this like kaukulang pagpapatawad. It's like something forgiveness or a forgiveness to those who were falsely accused nga nakipag-collaborate daw sa Japanese during sa World War II. So, the sole purpose of this is to save Jose P. Laurel, Claro M. Recto, and of course, the other notable figures of the government who were accused of collaborating with the Japanese government, no? And of course, these were some of the 4 notable people found or who were mentioned in the excerpt or in the text. So, Jose Abad Santos, during that time, was the Secretary of Justice. Jose P. Laurel was the Acting Chief of Justice. And we have Benigno S. Aquino Sr. as the Secretary of Agriculture, and Jorge or George Vargas, the City Mayor of Manila during that time. So, these people were among the ones former President Manuel L. Quezon chose to provide necessary protection for the Filipinos and deal with the advancing Japanese troops. So, they were accused, So, they were accused of collaborating with the Japanese. So, nangita og paagi kani si ato ang President Manuel Rojas to help them, and of course, to not let our government fall down into scraps. No? So on January 28, 1948, the amnesty was granted. No? It was granted to the Filipinos accused of collaborating with the Japanese. So, but it only applies to those accused of political and economic collaboration. So when we say political and economic collaboration, it merely focuses on those belonging to the government, or especially those people nga na ay power, na ay say. Pero it does not apply to the common crimes such as murder, rape, and arson. So if someone, even though it's a member of the Congress, but if that certain person is accused with such crimes such as murder, rape, and arson, it is not covered by the amnesty, because the amnesty solely focuses on the member of the government or the member of the cabinet that is most likely beneficial to our country. Next, the People's Court. So, because during that time, they established the People's Court. So, this is tasked to investigate alleged war crimes. Leading Filipinos during the Japanese occupation were then arrested and, the N is missing, and charged with treasonable collaboration. No? So, kaning People's Court, mo po ni siyang nahimong hinungdan nganong na ay nahitabo na hinuon nga pagpamasangil. No, because of this, because it is tasked to investigate alleged war crimes. So they investigated those member of the cabinet, member of the government, and turns out those people were arrested, and then so resulted the proclamation of the amnesty. So now it's time to sum up everything we have tackled so far. So now, as you can see, even though the Philippines' independence was recognized after the Treaty of Manila was signed, it was not something worth celebrating. Why? Because even though nakalaya na tato during that time, the Philippines was in bruises. Kumbaga sa tao, bugbog sarado pa ang Pilipinas sa ato na time, because most of the territories, most of the establishments were ruined. Many people were wounded, many people died, the economy was dying also. And then there were also many challenges such as the collaboration issue. So aside from that, the US tried to continue utilizing the Philippines in various ways to the former advantages. Economically, the Philippines was tied to the US as seen in the provisions of the Bell Trade Act. No, so even though the United States of America helped us in many ways, there were still instances, there's still these factors na siya'y downgrade, na siya'y shortcomings, na siya'y catch, kumbaga na scratch. No, because there were these laws na naghatag yapon sa ilahag power even though we were formally independent that time. But still, they have those strings attached to us that we cannot easily cut. So, and then, likewise, the armed forces of the U.S. continued to have the military presence in the Philippine soil through the 1947 Military Bases Agreement. So, as we can see, those acts, previously mentioned acts, or those agreements were meant for something more deeper, because even though we were physically and, of course, formally, economically separated or independent from them, they still have the key to go into our country, and then of course maglaganap sa ilahang mga kababalaghan, because even though daghan kay sila natabang sa ato, naadi ay secret agenda behind those help. So of course the collaboration issue was resolved after President Manuel Rojas granted the amnesty. So thanks to that, na resolve na ang issue, and then of course because of that happening, the Philippines started to grow. The Philippines started to evolve and stand in its own feet. We stood with our own 2 feet, and we tried to become an independent country. So that would be all for the chapter 12, of course the last part of chapter 12. I hope you had a great time listening to me rant about everything I understood based on what I have gathered also. So that would be all. Thank you and good afternoon. This is ANGIE CARL Mendoza signing off.